Not as early as I usually do, but it is early enough. So let's get right to it. Let's get to the mic check real fast. Let's make sure that everything is working so that nothing is said to be in vain. So, all right, so let's get this thing started. All right, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as we are on top of the stream right now. So, okay, I got a very interesting topic to talk about today regarding Khamzat, because obviously we know that there is a fight going on August 16th, UFC 319, and we don't know if he's going to defend his title. Okay, that's where this gets really interesting, is we don't know if he's going to defend his title or not. And the reason being is because Khamzat is hinting at a possible retirement. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Now, I've made several videos about Khamzat over the years. Well, not over the years, a couple of years that I've been on YouTube as of late. So this is one of them, right? We never expected that Khamzat would somehow hint at retirement, but I've seen this come in for quite some time, because for whatever reason, his mother seems to be very opposed to it, and I'm wondering what it is behind all that that's making his mother opposed to the idea of him staying as a potential title defender, right? Like, would it hurt if he stayed a couple more times to do so, or is this some sort of pact that him and his mother had made in order to somehow understand like where all of this is coming from? So yeah, we're gonna get to the bottom of that and some of the rumors surrounding that, because it could very well be not true, right? It could very well just mean that Khamzat is well, you know what, maybe he's just preparing for something else, or I don't know. We're gonna get to the bottom of it though. So let's get right to this particular subject. But first, let's talk about the co-main event that is going to head into this event, right? The co-main event between Aaron Pico and Laron Murphy. Okay, now this is a great co-main event for UFC 319. Now, obviously, Aaron Pico was supposed to fight Movsar Evloev, right? If you could imagine that, a fight with that type of magnitude, yeah, man, that's crazy. That's a crazy fight for Aaron Pico to walk into. But Laron Murphy, I think, is the closest thing to the best possible competition for Aaron Pico, meaning that the competition is strong enough to challenge Aaron Pico, but Movsar Evloev, I believe, is just on a whole nother level, man. A whole nother level. Look, for those of you that don't know, right, you look at Movsar Evloev, he is so cut up, right? So shredded. And one of his secrets, he mentioned that he said he did not want to consume any sugar or anything like that until he goes in there and gets the world title. Now, that is an insane promise that he made to himself, with a level of insane dedication and discipline. Okay, so that is an extremely disciplined man to deal with. So everybody that's in here right now, do not forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, because not only are we going to talk about UFC 319, we're also going to talk about Khamzat possibly retiring, also the co-main event featuring Aaron Pico and Laron Murphy on UFC 319, and the rest of the cards that went with that as well. Now, that card, unfortunately, is not as strong as the UFC Abu Dhabi card. It wasn't that strong. Now, why is that? Well, this is a pay-per-view matchup with two big names like Dricus du Plessis and Khamzat Chimaev. They felt that that's enough. You got a co-main event with Aaron Pico. It used to be Geoff Neal and Carlos Pratis, although I don't know if they even intended that they were going to be a co-main event at all. Right, Jared Cannonier is in the card, taking on Michael Venom Page. in my opinion, that should be the co-main event. I don't know why it isn't. Tim Elliott taking on Kai Asakara. Obviously, Kai Asakara came in here with a title shot from Ryzen. Now sort of fighting a staple in the flyweight division in Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott is very good. Okay, there is no easy fights for Kai Asakara here, right? He came in here, fought Pantoja in the very beginning of his career, and then all of a sudden he goes now and fights Tim Elliott. It doesn't get any easier than that. Drizzy Goat says, I go Pico to beat the other boring guy. You think LaRon Murphy is boring? Let me know what your thoughts are on that, Drizzy Drake. It's kind of insane to say that, what's his name, is boring. I mean, that's hardly a word that I would describe him to any degree, right? Boring is certainly not a word that I would describe LaRon Murphy. At least not in his lifestyle, right? LaRon Murphy's decision merchant off memory. He does have the tendency to lead the fights in that direction, right? So let's take a look at LaRon Murphy's career thus far, right? So he went to a decision with Josh Emmett, 5 rounds. Josh Emmett is difficult to finish, right? I know that a lot of people love to call people decision merchants or decision machines, but sometimes it really is just predicated on who you are fighting and who is in front of you. Okay, so Josh Emmett, prior to that, it was a 3-round decision against Dan Ige. Edson Barbosa, very difficult to finish. Khabib couldn't even finish him. How much more would you expect from LaRon Murphy at 145? Josh Kutalaba, okay, you know what? That's not a bad matchup either. Makwan Amirkhani, he actually finished. Makwan Amirkhani goes to a split decision against Gabriel Santos, a very unknown guy, by the way. So that was like back in UFC 286. I believe that was the Leon Edwards and the Kamaru Usman card. Drizzy Goat says, people that have heaps of decisions, no instinct, no killer instincts, unless you are a lighter weights like Marab. Okay, that's true. 145 is considered the lighter weights. Now, that is the reason why when Conor McGregor came in at 145 and started knocking everybody out, why it was so impressive. Because during that time, you really had a decision merchant champion in that of, what's his name, Jose Aldo. So a little bit different, but I see what you're saying, right? Like, I think LaRon Murphy is a decision merchant based on the fact that he's fighting a lot of tough competitions. Now, arguably, you could say that the UFC is a tough competition in of itself, but believe it or not, that's the reason why a lot of people don't get a lot of finishes. Drizzy Goat says, nah, there's still power at 145. Okay, well, name them, right? Josh Emmett is obviously a powerful striker. Let's take a look at where Josh Emmett has been as of late, right? So he loses to LaRon Murphy. He knocks out Bryce Mitchell as far back as 2023. Okay, and then obviously Bryce Mitchell comes back after that. He goes to a decision against Ilia Topuria. Josh Emmett. Yair Rodriguez, yeah, he knocks out Yair Rodriguez. No, submitted Yair Rodriguez. Split decision against Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar's hard to finish. Dan Ige decision back in UFC 269. Very difficult to finish. Shane Burgos goes to a decision. Shane Burgos, I believe, is in PFL right now. Mirsad Bektik, he actually knocks him out. Michael Johnson, he actually knocks him out because Michael Johnson is one of these fighters where it's a kill or be killed type of situation. That's why I love Khamzat. He's coming to get DDP out of there in round 1. I think he submits him for sure. I believe your assessment on that one, Drizzy. Ilya at 145, LOL. You think it was weird that Jack beat Bilal? Do I think it's weird? No, I think styles make matchups. I believe that Jack did something to where he prevented Bilal Muhammad from securing a takedown or being in position to secure the takedown. So I don't think it was weird. I just think that styles make fights. But I think Islam and Ilya and Jack, though, that style makes fights, and I think that is going to be a wrestling fest, especially if Islam may not wish to test his striking in that department. He may do it for just a little bit to show that he hangs in there, but ultimately he's going to shoot in for the takedown, and that's that. Islam at 170 will submit him in round 1 or 2. I think my assessment on that is a little bit further in terms of, the rounds that I see. I see the same decision that you see, but I'm going to go with a later round stoppage on that one. So, yeah, just to clarify on that, yeah, I would go with a submission somewhere later down the road, like maybe 3rd or 4th round or so. So, now, let's get to Khamzat possibly retiring, or maybe just wait for a few people to, hop right in here. But okay, let's Khamzat retiring. Let's see if there's any articles. No, Khamzat is not retiring. His manager has denied retirement following his withdrawal from UFC. ABC. Okay. Okay, speculations arose after the withdrawal, with some reports suggesting he might retire if he wins a title, UFC 319, but these are unconfirmed. So, okay, so what we have, okay, so Khamzat ain't retiring, LOL. Yeah, that's probably the reason why this isn't, doing too good of some views right now, right? Usually, if I had, hot topic of some sort, right, more people would pile in here, to see what's going on. But yeah, I would assume that many people are not believing the notion that he will retire, right? That's kind of hard for some people to believe, but on any regard, let's see if there is any news to this. So, okay.
Chimaev fights. And I'll put that report up on the screen right here, but he says that Khamzat Chimaev is considering retiring if he wins the belt at UFC 319. He said that he has health concerns, pressure from his country, and already has a ton of money. So there's basically no reason to keep fighting unless Khamzat Chimaev wants to just keep building his legacy, and he still loves fighting. So that is the report, but let's dive a little bit further into it. Kyle Barajo, if you remember, a couple months ago came out with this report that Dricus du Plessis has this big injury and won't be fighting for a long time, and he called for Dricus du Plessis to vacate the title and for Khamzat Chimaev and Kyle Barajo to fight for the interim or vacant belt. And this news took storm across the UFC and MMA world as everyone's like, oh, we didn't know Dricus du Plessis was hurt. He's supposed to have this huge fight with Khamzat Chimaev that we all want to see, but if he has to let go of the title, are we going to see Khamzat fight Kyle Barajo, or what's going to happen? But long story short, that whole story ended up being false. Dricus du Plessis has the least amount of aura, and instead got a fight scheduled with Khamzat Chimaev for August in Chicago at UFC 319, and it is the title fight. So it seems like that report from Kyle Barajo was all fake, and we know that Kyle Barajo does troll people. He's trolled Khamzat Chimaev in the past. He's trolled Nassourdine Imavov more recently, starting anti-Nassourdine chants at different UFC events and other events around the world. So can we really take what Kyle Barajo says with any truth to it? I'm not sure that we can. Now I will tell you,
he says Nassourdine sparks out the Brazilian nerd for sure. Trash card this week, bro. I roll with the Asian to beat Al-Bazi. Yeah, the Al-Bazi card, I mean, you know what? It's just another filler, isn't it, if you really think about it. Wow. Okay, how about this? Breaking news. Turki El-Sheikh is not interested in Usyk versus Parker. That is interesting. Okay.
Khamzat Chimaev's health concerns are a serious problem. He's had to pull out of many fights in the past to do so in such a short UFC career so far. If you look back at 2020, he was fighting way more often than he has been fighting recently due to these health concerns. So that being a reason...
Yeah, Parker beats Usyk. Now, I wonder why Turki El-Sheikh is not interested in making this fight. You know what? We're going to get to that G-Man Boxing. We're going to get to his video in a second after we get to this guy right here.
For him considering retiring after the belt does make sense. And the pressure from his country, I'm not a political expert. I don't know everything about Chechnya. I know that Khamzat Chimaev has been rumored to have visa issues coming to the United States, which is why he has not fought in the United States until his upcoming fight next month at UFC 3.
Yeah, that is an upset alert. Look, Joseph Parker is the dark horse of the heavyweight division right now, in my humble opinion, right? He definitely is, yeah, he definitely is the dark horse in meaning that he can beat anybody at any given time. Yeah, so wow, how about this? Zayn Musa says he's banned in every single William Hill in South London. I made too much money from them. They had enough of me. I had to get my brethren to get 5K from them. They not serving me. Wow. Okay, well, yeah, that's what happens, unfortunately. You know, yeah, man. Wow. Okay. Okay, so, all right, let's go back to the Khamzat video real quick.
However, he's in the States now, so I'm not sure that that's a big problem anymore, but I also have no idea about that situation. And then to Khamzat Chimaev having a lot of money, I believe it. We see him driving around these expensive cars all the time. I believe he has enough money to retire now if he wants to, but I don't think he's fighting just for money. I think he's fighting for legacy. I think he wants to be one of the greatest of all time and believes that he can be one of the greatest of all time, so I think he's focusing on that right now. However, I will tell you that these health concerns are a serious thing. We have seen them hopefully decrease as he's moved up from welterweight to middleweight, as the weight cut's not as extreme as it used to be at welterweight, so hopefully Khamzat Chimaev can make all the weight cuts going in the future and this won't be a problem. But the health concerns stem farther than just a weight cut.
So DDP ain't no slouch though. The build-up will be awesome, bro. DDP is slick on the mic. Oh, it will. It absolutely will be awesome, right? You know, considering the fact that DDP has made, quote-unquote, some grown men cry before. But, yeah, we shall see for sure.
It is a deeper health issue that is going on with Khamzat Chimaev, but we hope that it's nothing too serious that will plague his UFC career going forward. What do I think will happen? I do not think that Khamzat Chimaev plans on retiring if he wins at UFC 319. I think that Khamzat Chimaev wants to have a title reign at the middleweight division, and I think he would consider going down to 170 or up to 205 to become a two-time champ. I don't know if going down to 170 is too realistic. He has made it before, but if it's going to cause a lot of health concern...
All right, yeah. He has the capabilities of going down to 170 for sure. So, what is this? The Harsh Truth About Dricus and Khamzat by Warhorse MMA. Let's read it. Let's hear this right here.
Amazon Freight scales with you. Simple booking and...
So, Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev is just under a month away. And I'm going to be brutally honest when I say this. This is probably one of the biggest fights that will ever happen in UFC history. And I know it sounds crazy and cliche for me to say that because it is a bit of recency bias, and I do get it. I have not been this hyped up or this excited for a main event in a very long time. Like, I've been excited for 4 fights, don't get me wrong. Like, I've been excited...
I tell you what, my man's getting me excited for this fight.
For Mayweather Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira. I've been excited for... Poirier versus Islam, with just UFC 300 in general. Like, I've been excited for these cards. Had a couple fights on them. I haven't been this pumped up or this much anticipated for a fight ever. Because this is one of those fights where I'm going to say this brutal. I'm going to say this. I think you can make a prediction for this fight or have a take on this fight. And you will either be 100% correct or 100% wrong.
So in other words, what he's trying to say is you're either going to be 100% correct or 100% wrong. What he means by that is the unpredictability that this match brings. Also, the style that Dricus has lends itself to a lot of chaos. Khamzat also lends himself to a lot of chaos because of the exchanges that he gets himself into. Also, just the fast twitch start that he has, I think will absolutely prove everything in that notion.
Because if you're picking Khamzat Chimaev to win this fight, you are expecting him to go out there and finish/submit Dricus du Plessis in round 1 and make it look easy, not take a scratch, not take any damage, get a first round finish, and just look like Khamzat Chimaev. Or I'm expecting you to pick a Dricus du Plessis survives the first round onslaught, starts to take over round 2 and 3 and gets a later round finish or maybe even a dominant decision. That's the only way that I think you see this fight going, is a DDP finish in the later rounds or a dominant decision if Khamzat can survive those 5 rounds, or a Khamzat first round finish. There's no real in between for me. Like, I don't see Khamzat getting a late round submission or a later rounds TKO. But again, I don't see DDP being able to finish Khamzat early either. And I do believe this fight is not going to be close for whoever wins. You can count on that.
So in other words, what he's saying is that this fight is going to go full mode into something very competitive, but at the same time, it could also lend itself into a one-sided domination.
When Warhorse MMA posters won't be close video, you can guarantee right now that this fight will not be close. DDP's going to win in dominant fashion, or Khamzat's going to win in dominant fashion. But I do want to talk about both guys just briefly, and I want to start with Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat winning the belt would be great for maybe the first week. From Khamzat getting new and wrapping that belt around him till in New Zealand the week after, that Sunday after, it's going to be sick. It's going to be sick. Khamzat's got the belt. He might go on tour. He might do something special with the belt. Khamzat with the belt just feels right and set.
Yeah, look, he will absolutely go on tour with that belt. First, he's going to go to Chechnya. Then he's going to do a world tour. He may show up at a few soccer games. He'll go to Sweden. He'll go to the UAE. He'll go to the UK. He'll go to Los Angeles in the United States because, look, man, Khamzat is training in LA right now, right? So that could be a very special city for him in terms of understanding that, hey, you know what? This is the city that I had a training camp during my time of trying to win this belt, right? So there'll be a lot of memories for him on that. And yes, he will go on world tour for sure. So, all right. Let's get back to this video right here.
Sounds right.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, I didn't see these comments here. He's saying, Drizzy Goat says, he's playing the fence like Biatch. Khamzat all day, bro. He's winning, no doubt, and new. Okay, you're talking about Warhorse MMA. Yeah. I think it's a little bit different for, us Muslim fight fans and us Muslim fighters is that, we absolutely see Khamzat in this one-way streak, whereas everybody wants to say, oh, you know what, Drickus is kind of good. You don't want to, underestimate him, so maybe Drickus has a chance to win. Listen, guys, Drickus has already lost. Okay, he's lost before. I know he's champion right now, but he's lost before. Khamzat has never lost. It's very difficult for us to look at Khamzat and say, hey, you know what, these are the chinks in your armor that's going to help you lose, right? It's very difficult to see. Drizzy Goat says the UFC is so much talent right now. Bro, all the champs are the best it's ever been. If you were to compare that to the eras, would you agree? I would say so. I think what we have right now are the eras of the specialist, right? Drickus, not so much of a specialist in one area, but he is well-rounded enough to be champion. Whereas with Khamzat, he's not only well-rounded, but he heavily specializes in submission and wrestling. So that's very scary right there. Islam, Khamzat, Ankalaev, Merab, all winning. It's a wrap. Very confident. Yes.
You would be a shit champion. Let me explain. This motherfucker is never gonna fight. I know you have Kyle Bahalio versus Nasty Namavov happening in, is it August, September, that Paris main event? Sick fight, by the way. That has potential to be fighting. I know you've had some insane fights this year, but a Mavov versus Kyle Bahalio is incredible. That's an incredible fight, and I guarantee that will go 5 rounds when I'm picking a Mavov. But the winner of that is fighting for the belt. I don't think a Mavov even needs to fight Kyle Bahalio in the first place. I think he could have waited around to fight the winner of DDP versus Khamzat. But with Khamzat having the belt, I'm going to say this. I don't think we see him until International Fight Week next year. Is it crazy to say that? He fights in August, doesn't return until June next year.
I agree with that assessment. I think that Khamzat is not going to be a super active champion in the way that we saw Islam, the way that we saw Merab. Yeah, I don't think that's the case. I think that, yeah, he's going to take his time in between the fights. He's going to enjoy his belt. And, yeah, I think really that is what we're going to expect out of out of Khamzat Chimaev as champion. Now, is that something that I like? Is that something that I agree with in terms of how he should conduct himself as champion? No, of course not. But I think that it is the reality of the situation, and it is something that we have to understand and cope with as MMA fans in terms of wanting to see more activity out of our champion. So yeah, I think I would have to agree with him on that one.
Is it crazy to say I don't think so? Because what Khamzat is a money machine that is insanely inactive. I know we can talk about his immune system, we can talk about stuff like that. I'm not going to bring that up. What I want to bring up with Khamzat...
Wow, okay, so that's interesting that he said that, right? He says that he's a money machine that, let me hear what he says again.
Is it crazy to say I don't think so? Because what Khamzat is a money machine that is insanely inactive. I know we can talk about his immune system, we can talk about stuff.
He said that he's a money machine that is inactive. Now, that's insane to say, right? Considering that he came into the UFC highly active. Highly active, which is crazy, but, it is what it is by the end of the day. All right, let's continue on with Dark Horse MMA on his assessment on this particular topic.
I'm not going to bring that up. What I want to bring up with Khamzat is more the fact that he is inactive. We can't really rely on him. It's similar to what Dana White said about John Jones with the what's it called? The White House card. They're going to the White House, but he doesn't want John Jones on that card because John Jones is irresponsible and not...
But guess who isn't? It is Khamzat Chimaev, who's not irresponsible. So you can absolutely put him in there in that card. Yeah, you know what? As inactive as Khamzat is, he is absolutely reliable for a White House card. Okay, that is the God honest truth. He is absolutely reliable for a White House card, and why should he not be in that card? So let's yeah. I don't see why he should not be in that card, especially if he gets an easy win on this one.
Not reliable. Whereas I look at Khamzat, if we put, let's say this, we put Khamzat just on an average pay-per-view. We put him in, let's think of someone, we put him on when they go to Utah. When they go to Utah, once a year they go to Utah. If we put Khamzat on a Utah card, the pay-per-view is just going to be an average card, and they'll say Khamzat will sell it. Because that's what they typically do with their biggest stars. They get just an average card. Oh, but our main event will make people want to buy the pay-per-view. That's just what they... Same with Alex Pereira. When you look at Alex Pereira's cards, on paper, they are dog shit. They might turn out okay, but you are relying on Alex Pereira to sell the pay-per-views. That's what they're going to do with Khamzat Chimaev. If Khamzat has the belts... they are going to rely on him to be able to sell pay-per-views, and they'll just put some average fights on the rest of the card. If Khamzat pulls out of just one fight where he's the main event and he's fighting him over whoever, and he pulls out, the card's fucked. And the card's done. Just like that. And you can say that for every other card where if the main event pulls out, it falls apart. I get that. But Khamzat is a champion, and if we have an inactive champion that we cannot rely on, I don't want that. But even then, let's say he is, we'll say more active. We'll say more active if he has the belt as a brief term, more active. Even still, I think we'd be lucky to see him twice a year. We see him once a year now. I know he fights twice every 12 months, but we realistically see him once a year. I don't want that as a champion. I know he's dominant.
Look, the problem with that assessment is that a lot of champions are exactly like that, right? Many champions are inactive because, number one, it's very difficult to match champions. Heck, it's very difficult to match Conor McGregor. Okay, that is the reason why Conor McGregor was not able to get a fight as easily during the pandemic because of the fact that, it's very difficult to match a guy like that. Also, it's very difficult to build cards around a guy like that, right? Let alone other champions as well. But that's the reality of the business, so...
No, he is kind of known as the best in the world because of what he does and how skilled he is and how dominant he is and what he actually does as a fighter to other fighters. Like, look at how great Robert Whittaker is. Khamzat finished him in a round. I know he went to a very close decision with Usman, and I will down the hill that Usman won that fight, or at least it was a draw if we're scoring around 1 to 10.
Look, that's what I'm saying, right? So for those of you that are ignoring Khamzat's last performance, he took out Robert Whittaker in 1 round. How about this week in Abu Dhabi against Renier de Ridder? How long did it take de Ridder to finish Robert Whittaker? In fact, he didn't finish him at all. He went 5 rounds with him. And de Ridder is a very good fighter, very underrated. And he went 5. Look, Dricus also took out Robert Whittaker. I remember that fight vividly. I was watching it in a hotel in Disney World, okay, while that fight was going on. And man, I said to myself, I hope Dricus starches him right now so that I can get on these rides. And yeah, so he got, man, listen, he starched him like that. Now, he didn't starch him the way that Khamzat did, but it shows you why this fight is highly anticipated. Fresh Melon Juice says, another reason can be that nobody wants to fight Khamzat unless he's a champion. That is very true. That is very true, right? He may very well be avoided as a champion. How about that, right? As a champion, he will be avoided. Now, that is scary in and of itself. Francis Ngannou sort of had that same aura about him. Fresh Melon Juice says, also same as Islam. Mr. Burberry, shout out to you, my man. He says he will only fight 2 times a year because of Ramadan. Khamzat is not a pull-out king. They promise a title shot after a title shot. That's true. Mr. Burberry says when he becomes champ, he'll defend twice a year. That's good enough. That's sort of the average for most champions, isn't it? Unless, of course, you're Alex Pereira. How many times did Alex Pereira defend his belt? Let's take a look at this, right? How many times did Pereira defend his belt? That is the question. So the answer is twice. He's defended his belt twice. So he knocked out Jamal Hill in UFC 300, defeated Yuri in the 2nd round, and then defeated Khalil Roundtree, and then lost to Pereira by a unanimous decision in UFC 313. Fresh Melon Juice says, or Marab, he's a great champion. Okay, yeah, very true. Shout out to everybody around the world that's tapped in right now. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, because we are talking about Khamzat Chimaev and the possibility of retiring, or what the world is going to look like with him as champion. But also, we're going to talk about Turki El-Sheikh, why he's protecting Usyk from Joseph Parker, because he is adamant in not wanting to see this fight. So let's get to it. You know what will be a great fight, Mr. Burberry says, when Islam wins and has to fight Shavkat. Now, that's a scary fight. Man, you guys are trying to line up all the Muslim fighters to fight each other, right? But if you're a Muslim fight fan, that's probably a good problem to have right now, because we're beating everybody's butt to the point where now our boys have to go and fight each other, right? Aljo was a great champ fighting often. Was he? Yeah, he was. He was Fresh Melon Juice. Aljo was definitely a great champion while it lasted. And then Sean O'Malley came in. And then now we have the Marab era, this, that, and the other. So, you know me, my opinion of who the greatest 135 fighter is of all time, to me, it's TJ Dillashaw. And I know that sounds biased because I trained with him. And, you know, he showed me a lot of good techniques on single legs, double leg takedowns. You know, and then on top of that, when he started evolving his striking through Dwayne Ludwig, he also shared a lot of that knowledge as well. So TJ is a nightmare. If you are a 125er, a 135er, he's going to try to knock your head off. But if you're not in his weight class and you're, you know, fighting above him or maybe even lower than him, he's going to be very helpful towards you in any kind of way. But from what I remember about TJ Dillashaw, my goodness, man, that guy was grilling and, you know, and basically mugging everybody in Team Alpha Male during his time there, right? That's the reason why a lot of guys didn't like him. I liked him. I happen to like his personality. I think that he was great for Team Alpha Male, but, you know, obviously Team Alpha Male didn't think so. For Shavkat. Okay, so Fresh Melon Juice says, is it true that Shavkat's wife and children were in a car crash? I didn't hear about that. I read it somewhere today. Wow, okay. We'll get to that story. Okay, so I'm definitely going to get to that story. Matter of fact, let me look it up right now, right? That's a very scary thing to say, Fresh Melon Juice, so I hope you're not, you know, kidding about that. But, yeah, kids car crash. Wow, that's crazy, man. So let's see. Oh, fans react to... Wow, okay, you're not kidding, man. Wow, all right, you ain't kidding, bro. You are not kidding. All right, I'm going to timestamp this real quick, okay? Because I'm going to read an article on this particular matter at hand, okay? So shout out to Fresh Melon Juice for giving us the information on that one. He read it somewhere today. Mr. Burberry says, isn't Aljo and Sean running it back part 2? Okay, that's a pretty interesting matchup to kind of see where they both are at right now. Perhaps maybe Aljo might get him this time. If so, that would be horrible. Oh, okay, are you talking about the Shavkat situation or Sean? Fresh Melon Juice says, is Sean moving up? I think 2 of their friends died. Oh, man. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's horrible, man. All right, let me timestamp this real quick, and then we're going to get to the Shavkat story, okay, because that's also important as well. So, all right, we're going to get to this in 37 minutes into this live stream. So, Shavkat. Okay, Shavkat's family car accident, and that is going to be in 20 seconds from now. Okay, so I think 2 of their friends died. Shavkat's situation is horrible. Fresh Melon Juice says, yeah. All right, so we're going to get to this story in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. All right. So I've recently just learned right now that Shavkat's family has been in a car accident. And I want to thank Fresh Melon Juice for giving me the fresh news on this particular subject, no pun intended. So here we are, right here. We got Shavkat, okay? Prayers to his family, according to this guy. I'm not sure who this guy is. Maybe a friend, maybe just a fan. Either way, the sentiments are all highly accepted. So, concerning a report regarding UFC welterweight Shavkat Rakhmonov's family has captured the attention of fans, prompting many to express their thoughts and prayers. According to Kazakhstan's news outlet Kuziev Media, on July 27th, Rakhmonov's wife and 3-year-old son were involved in an accident in the Zambul region of Kazakhstan. Reports indicate that the driver, believed to be Shavkat Rakhmonov's wife, lost control of their Toyota Land Cruiser. By the way, very interesting, Toyota Land Cruisers are used all around the Middle East, all around Afghanistan, all around Pakistan, basically within the Muslim Islamic regions of the world are very much fond of Toyota Land Cruisers. Okay, but moving on, leading to a vehicle turning over. It was later confirmed by the Regional Department of Health that both Rakhmonov's wife and son were hospitalized following the crash. Their condition has been assessed as moderate, and there is no risk to their lives. Okay, so that's good to know. That is good to know right there, that there is no serious risk with their lives. Their condition has been assessed as moderate, and there is no risk to their lives. However, reports suggest that there was a loss of 2 lives as well. 2 lives. Okay, so this is what you're talking about right there. I think 2 of their friends died. Okay, so shout outs to Fresh for this update right here. Shavkat's situation is horrible. Fresh Melon Juice says, yeah. Burberry says, they are pretty stable cars, normally hard to roll, isn't it? Dang. I tell you what, man, you know who the star is of this whole entire accident is the Toyota Land Cruiser. I told you guys that in that region, everybody wants a Land Cruiser. You know what? As a matter of fact, I hate to say this, okay, because, you know, it's totally unrelated to the subject, but it kind of is at the same time. The Taliban, okay, they're big on Land Cruisers. A lot of the mujahideen around the world who, you know, fight in Islamic extremist groups use the Land Cruisers a lot, whether it's Al-Qaeda in in Yemen, or whether it's Jabhat al-Nusra in Syria, or you name it, man. Every Islamic terrorist group is fascinated with Toyota Land Cruisers, and there's a good reason, because guess what, man? You can really track through rough terrain with this type of car, and guess what? This car showed the stability that it is capable of in terms of protecting these people that were in it. So yeah, that is something to think about. Also, the CIA agents, people that are in covert operations around the world, whether they are American forces or or British forces, or maybe even Israeli forces. These guys use Land Cruisers all the time. So again, it shows you once again in the civilian world. Okay, I mean, obviously, I'm talking military terms and and tactical insertions and things of that nature, but when it comes to the civilian world, it's also proven right here with this particular accident that it is a very reliable car. So for those of you that are employees of Toyota, what you need to do is you need to cut this part that I just said right now and send it to Toyota as some sort of Toyota commercial and what have you. So yeah. Yeah, they are pretty stable cars, normally hard to roll, isn't it? Dang, yeah. Drizzy says, Dana White's favorite fighters all lost. Yes, favorite fighters in terms of the people that they make money towards. Okay, so I'm going to address that, right? I don't think Dana White has a favorite fighter. If you really want me to answer, gun to my head, who his favorite fighter is, it's Benjamin Franklin. Okay, now you're probably wondering, well, how is Benjamin Franklin his favorite fighter? Was he even a fighter in the first place? Or is he even alive during this time to be an active fighter? And the answer is no. But I tell you what do all fighters fight for? They all fight for Benjamin Franklin. Okay? They all fight for Benjamin Franklin. If you're a British fighter, then you're fighting for King Charles, because that is who appears in their cash notes. Okay? But on any regard, yes, that's what fighters fight for, is the Benjamins, and that is who Dana White's favorite fighter is. So why am I saying that? Why did I preface saying that? The reason why, understand this, right? Dana White does not care about the results. The UFC has created an organization to where the results will never matter to the bottom line of the organization. I want to say that again. The UFC has created an organization where the results or the losses of one fighter to another will never determine the outcome and the how do I say this, the wealth of the company. Marty Miller, he says, shout out to you, my man. Good morning. Did you see Luke Rockhold's interview with the Schmo? No, I did not. Let's take a look at that and hear what he has to say on that one right there. Okay, so Luke Rockhold and the Schmo. That's always an interesting combination. So let's take a look at what good old Luke said in this. Okay, so 15 hour. Okay, so it's a 13-minute interview. All right, let's get to it. Let's. Oh wow, what is this? What are they playing right here? Are they are playing some sort of like air hockey or something? Okay, let's see this. This is an interesting one. Okay, he has no boxing skills. Darren Till beats him. That's true, my man. I tell you what, whenever you have two MMA fighters, okay, one is American and one is British, I'm going to go with the British guy every time in a boxing match, right? Let me say that again. Whenever there's an American MMA fighter and a British MMA fighter fighting in boxing, I'm going with the British guy every time, because British guys just understand boxing better than American guys do, especially American guys that are MMA fighters. Did you know that Luke Rockhold, okay, when he came into Mayweather's gym, he went in there with his bare feet, and man, let me tell you something, man. Boxers are so weird about taking off their shoes in other combat sports gyms. I need you to understand that, right? They are so weirded out by dudes that take off their shoes in other combat sports gyms. Obviously, that's normal. That's the norm. That is the that is the standard. Unless, of course, you're wearing, like, let's say, ankle ankle pads or something like that, or you have your ankle wrapped up. That is the common trend in, in MMA is fighting without your shoes. So he went in Mayweather's gym, not wearing any shoes, and I need you to put that in perspective right there, right? So, all right, let me label this right here on the timestamp. Okay. All right, the Schmo. All right, so here we go. Let's go. Let's get with Luke Rockhold right here. Okay, let's get to these comments first and foremost, okay? So let's see here. Cuckold was a kicker and a great grappler. That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't like this fight. Till has better hands. That's all. That's true. He's British, right? They just understand hands better than anybody. Drizzy Goat says, I was surprised Nate beat Masvidal, LOL, and Masvidal sucks. Well, here's the thing. Nate has been boxing for a long time, way longer than Gamebred. Gamebred lost to Colby, then Nate. Well, he does have a win over Nate in a way bigger card, right? Like imagine they go from Madison Square Garden, okay, being the first card that Trump has ever attended, and then he attended many more after that, and then being downgraded to some kind of facility or arena in Inglewood, California. By the way, where Inglewood is, that is a blood territory. Okay, there's nothing but bloods and gang members in Inglewood. Matter of fact, all of Inglewood is all bloods, just like all of Long Beach is all Crips. But yeah, Nate can actually box. He just has no power, Marty Miller says. That's true. Drizzy Goat says, yeah, that was controversial, though. The doctor's stoppage was BS. That's New York for you. All right, here's Luke Rockhold right here. Yeah, Nate got dogged for sure. Nate outdogged him for sure. Okay.
Oh, that's a banger. That's a banger. That is it. Is that perfection?
This is the Schmo with the Pro. He's the former Strikeforce, the former UFC middleweight champion of the world. He's done BJJ, he's done karate combat, he's done BKFC, and now he enters the realm of mixed.
Hey, you know what? Shout out to Luke Rockhold, though. He really did get on all those, different platforms, right? Karate combat, right? He's very good at karate combat. Obviously, he has a karate style to him. He fought in bare knuckle. Not so much of his thing. Obviously, it was a bad matchup for him. Maybe he'll do better in bare knuckle with lesser opponents than that of Mike Perry. But still, it's crazy that a former world champion in the UFC lost to a mediocre fighter like Mike Perry, who just has nothing more than a name behind him.
It's boxing. He's Luke Rockhold in the flesh.
Marty Miller says, I can't wait for you to hear some of this. Luke is the new Tito Ortiz. Oh, okay. This is about to get good, man. All right, let's hear this.
Inside his pad. How we doing?
Living life, training every day, all day.
How them lungs? These cigars. There.
That's how you know Luke Rockhold is in the Bay Area right now. You can hear the background. It is nothing but police sirens, but carry on, Luke.
Nice.
I heard these, they build your testosterone, so I gotta get every avenue I can. I'm not no.
Listen, I don't know if that's true, man. I don't know if smoking a cigar builds your testosterone, or is it just because maybe you're doing it with other males, that maybe being around the aura of other high-performing males somehow affects your testosterone levels in any kind of way. But I don't know of any correlation that says smoking a cigar somehow increases your testosterone. Maybe there is some reasoning behind it, some causation and correlation to being with other men that are high testosterone, high performing, but we'll see. Mr. Burberry says, shit, Masvidal versus Mike Perry and BKFC would be sick. Ooh, now you're talking. Now you're talking, Mr. Burberry. I like that. Fresh Melon Juice says, gift of gab right there, for sure. Okay, well, gift of gab, what do you mean? Explain that one for me, if you can, please, Fresh.
No spring chicken no more.
That's right, man. What are you, 26 now?
That's what she said.
talk to the Schmo for a second. No jet lag.
Hey, everyone always says that. That's what she said. I don't know what you mean by that. Right. You can't have it all fresh. That's true. It's English. Okay.
Yeah, you just finished your press conference. You're the headline fight against Aaron the Gorilla Till, August 30th, Manchester, England. After all the antics, after having...
All the Misfits boxing cards are all in Manchester or in the UK. Now, obviously, because KSI is the one that's running that show, obviously, if it was an American promoter or somebody like Aiden Ross, you know what? That kind of shows you the power of television deals, right? Look, you know Aiden Ross has his own boxing show. He had Charleston White fight the Island Boys in his show, and yet nobody knows about it. Come on now, Charleston White is a big name. The Island Boys are a big name. Why didn't nobody know about it? Well, because Aiden Ross doesn't have a DAZN TV deal. If he had a DAZN TV deal, you better believe that that fight with Charleston White and the Island Boys would have been way bigger than what it was supposed to be. Marty Miller says he's saying Luke has a gift of gab. He's joking. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, you can't have it all, right? That's what you mean, right? You know, obviously Luke is athletic. Luke is a male model, but when it comes to speaking, he's you know, he's not Michael Bisping, and he proved that. Okay, Michael Bisping proved that in their you know, in their little scuffle that they had going on. So
2 flights over...
he says that he almost got it all. I think he got the best parts. Having Elon's mind seems exhausting. You're saying Luke Rockhold has Elon's mind? Okay, calm down now, Fresh. You know what I mean? Like, that's as worse of a take as when you constantly put Pantoja, poor little Pantoja, against all these scary heavyweights, bro.
Over the pond. What's going through your mind right now, Luke?
He says not, he doesn't. Oh, okay, you meant to say no, he doesn't. Burberry is laughing at him on that one.
Luke.
Why don't you own apartment buildings? Seriously,
I do.
Why don't you own these big apartment buildings?
I do. That commercial is not applying to me, but all right.
Out there in Ibiza getting fat and accusing me of everything.
He says that's what he's missing, brains. Well, I tell you what, right? They say that the better looking you are, the less intelligent that you are. And then on top of that, Luke is an MMA fighter slash combat athlete, period. So definitely not good for his brains. Those combinations are not good for his brains. Look at his hat. That's a Bret Hart hat, by the way. A Bret the Hitman Hart, if you guys don't notice. Confirm with me on that one if that's what you guys are seeing, or maybe it's some sort of other designer hat. Mr. Burberry says, yeah, definitely missing that.
You know, I've been training my fucking ass off. So, I got 11 rounds in today, 24 ounce gloves. I'm going to go hit about 5 miles right now. Nose breathing. Let those lungs work.
Why 11 rounds and not 12, right? I'm curious about that, right? Maybe there was that one round where he reserved it for perhaps maybe shadow boxing or maybe sprinting or something to that extent. But yeah, let me know in the comment section below why Luke decided to do 11 instead of 12, or if that's just an arbitrary number that he decided to go with.
Work. Let that expand my lungs. You know, I like to work my lungs in so many ways.
You certainly do. Where's he getting this intel, though? He's accused...
He says they're probably they're probably only fighting 8 or 10. What do you mean by that, Marty Miller? They're only fighting 8 or 10. Oh, okay, because they're fighting 8 or 10 rounds. Got it. Okay. Okay, so then adding that would be, okay, the possible explanation for the arbitrary number. Burberry says he smokes weed. He does. What Northern California guy doesn't, right? You know, Luke is a typical California guy. You know, that's kind of why I like him, right? You know, he's a Cali dude. You know what I mean? So... I don't know, man. Even though I think Darren Till is going to win this one, I'm pulling for him on this one for the sake of, you know, our home state. So, Fresh Melon Juice says, I was looking at their shirts. They look the same but different colors. Huh, okay. I see what you're saying. All right. A bit of like a very European style look to them, yeah, I think is what you're saying, right? Yeah, okay. So, okay. Very interesting observation there.
Used to you taking steroids? Do you got a mole in your camp, too, saying you're not working hard enough?
I don't know where he's getting it. I think he's just making up excuses to make himself feel... Giving him excuses. I know. He's saying he's faster, saying he's this, but I don't think he believes a goddamn word out of his mouth. You know, I respect Darren. He's decent. You know, he's tough. People haven't seen me box. People haven't seen me move. I'm blacker than both the last guys he fought together.
Well, this isn't your first time fighting an Englishman, and
Fresh Mellinger says, I work for the CIA, so I notice these things. Man, listen. All right, well, yeah. Well, I guess we got ourselves a CIA agent in here, right? Yeah, that's interesting. You're a CIA agent and you're revealing yourself. Yeah, that's very espionage-like of you. That's very secretive of you to do so, but carry on. This is my facial expression right here when you told me that you work for the CIA. Okay, right there. That's my facial expression at you, Fresh, when you tell me that you work for the CIA. Don't tell anyone. Yeah, okay, yeah, we won't tell anyone with the 10 to 100 people that we just had in here. Blacker than both guys he fought. What the heck? Did he really just say that? You know what? I had to take a double take, right? When he said that. So, okay, what does he mean by that? I think what he means by that, he's saying that he has a certain type of rhythm that helps in boxing and is the reason why many African Americans are dominant in boxing is because of a certain, physical attributes that he's attributing himself to. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, that's what he said. It is weird that he said that. But anyways, yeah, this is my facial expression to you, Fresh, when you say that you're a CIA agent. Me looking at you in a way of like, interrogation matters. You know what I mean? Like, you say you're CIA, huh? All right.
having good trash talk. Michael Bisping, former foe of yours too. Where does Darren Till's trash talk stack up against Bisping's?
Darren Till says, bleaching your hair at 40 to be blonde has all the signs of mentally unwell. At Luke Rockhold, it's not okay. 1 week, self-doubting, muppet. I actually feel sorry for him at this point, lad.
It's tough because I can only understand like 1 out of 5 words that comes out of his fucking mouth. So he's a cheeky cunt.
He said you were zesty. Where do you get the zesty word from?
I didn't quite understand that one. I think
Zesty is obviously a new age slang for meaning that you're GAY.
like I said, must have been one of those words that I couldn't pick up from I don't know what he is, the wolf of Liverpool. He's a gorilla. He's an ape. I don't know. We'll find out.
But why boxing, though, Luke? And why Misfits boxing? And why Darren Till? The world is your oyster. You could be fighting anyone. You've already fought everybody.
I think boxing is that one avenue that I need to clean up. And it was the one, thing that I wasn't the best at. It was the last art I gained and taught myself in this game.
Mr. Burberry says he has Darren even won anything in the last 5 years, 1 fight maybe, yeah?
I'm fighting, and so I like to be a complete fighter, and I like to, like to fix things. I like to, this is tying up loose ends kind of part of my career. Tying up redemption tour.
And is this where you're going to be sticking around in this boxing world? You got grander plans after facing Darren Till?
I'm an agent. I'm a free agent. So I like the big fights.
Okay, so Alex T says Diddy versus George Floyd. That's a very good question. I'm going to have to go with Diddy on that one, right? Now, obviously, George Floyd is no longer with us. That would not be a match to happen. But yeah, I'm going to go with Diddy. I think Diddy is probably a lot more athletic in comparison to George Floyd. So here I am. Yeah, Rockhold is an agent like me. No, fool, he said that he's a free agent, right? So you're not a free agent. When you're an agent for the CIA, you're definitely not free because you're the government's bitch. I mean, basically, that's the best way to put it. What Luke Rockhold is saying that he's a free agent. He's not signed to any... Well, I don't know why I need to explain this to you. I mean, obviously, you know the reality of that. Mr. Burberry says the dude got his teeth knocked out by Perry. I hope they both get a draw. You know what? Is that your official prediction? If it is, that's not a bad official prediction to make, right? Because even though from what we've seen out of Darren Till being the better boxer, it's not a guarantee that he's going to come out looking the best here all the time, right? So, we will see. I don't think, it's not a sure thing that he's, that he's going to outbox him. I mean, look, Luke can absolutely make this fight very competitive. Fresh Melon Juice says, I'm the shot caller at the CIA. Okay, Cash Patel. Okay, well, actually, Cash Patel is a director of the FBI. But nonetheless, speaking of Cash Patel, man, listen, did you guys see that child abduction ring that the FBI recently, conducted, right? So, I mean, look, man, I may not agree with Cash Patel on everything politically, but, we got to start normalizing giving props to when it's due, and I think he definitely deserves the props on that one. So, all right, continue on with Luke Rockhold here.
And this is putting me right where I want to be, and you never know what the fuck's next. I'm open to a lot of things, but Darren's first. We're gonna do this thing. Manchester. I've always wanted to fight in England, so this could be good.
How do you put him away, though? You think you just break his will? You think a referee has to stop this thing? You think he's laying on the camp?
Marty Miller says Till definitely looked out of shape at the press conference. Well, see, so here's the thing about Darren Till, right? Look, it's very difficult to understand and know whether Darren Till is out of shape or not, right? Because he doesn't have, okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, who's one of the best bodybuilders in combat sports? Tommy Fury. What Tommy Fury looks like in shape is different than Tyson Fury. You see, Tyson Fury doesn't have to look cut up, doesn't have to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but as long as Tyson Fury has a flat stomach, okay, has a lean body, okay, with a little bit of fat that, he normally carries anyway, he's in shape. But if Tommy Fury looked anything like his brother physique-wise, then you can tell that he's out of shape because that's out of the norm for his body. Okay, same thing with Andy Ruiz. You guys remember Andy Ruiz. He's got a big old belly, in front of him, right? If he can lessen that belly, then you know that he's going into that fight in shape. He still has a belly, but he's going in there in shape for what he can normally carry. So I hope you guys understand what I mean by that, right? So Darren Till being in shape is not the same as Luke Rockhold being in shape, right? In terms of the aesthetic looks of the body. Marty Miller says, I can see that. Mr. Burberry says, at Marty, I think he wants easy paydays after having a kid. He went soft as a pudding. That's why Khamzat quit hanging out with him. Who's to say that Khamzat doesn't have kids? By the way, here's another thing that I wanted to emphasize with the upcoming video that I have with Ilia Topuria, right? I think a lot of people are, how do I say this? I think a lot of people in the fight game disclose their family life too much to the point where it gets used against them, right? And I'm going to go into that with the Ilia Topuria story. So Marty Miller says, right now how you look doesn't necessarily mean much, but it can reflect how hard you're training for a fight. Well, here's the thing, right? If Darren Till is lean, Darren Till will never have an 8-pack, right? But if Darren Till is lean, you better believe that he's in shape. For example, look, I'll never have an 8-pack, right? The most that I'll get is a 4-pack, but if I have a 4-pack going on, you better believe that I'm in shape for anything, right? But again, it all varies with different people and different bodies and how they go about things, right? It can be indicative and reflective, but sometimes it can't, and really, you'd have to understand the depth of the individual to really make a proper assessment on that.
Canvas at the end of the thing?
I don't know, but he's criticizing my track days. But he looks like he's 240 pounds right now. We're 5 weeks away from the fight. I don't know what the fuck he's thinking. And I've been training like this for 5 weeks. Hard. And he just got out of a visa. So, put down the fucking beers and the Charlie. Let's get to work. I want to get the best of you. No more fucking excuses.
What do you do with this stuff right here? This baby oil, Luke?
Yeah.
What is this? He's got, oh, hold up, man. He's got baby oil. Limham says, are you a Muslim Samoan? Well, I'm not Samoan, but I ran with a lot of Samoans, on this side of the coast, if you know what I mean. So, well, I am Muslim, but I'm not Samoan. I'm part Arabic and part Pacific Islanders. So, okay, I could see why you got that. But yeah, you know, I do run with a lot of Samoans. So, Mr. Burberry says, saying some people become more aggressive to defend their family and some just become super soft and don't want any issues to jeopardize what they have. Do you understand what I mean? Yes, I understand exactly what you mean. Lim Han says, I was close enough. You are. Shout out to Lim Han. This is the first time I've seen you in here. Give Lim Han a warm welcome. Let me know what part of the world you are from. And please don't forget to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. We just hit 1,000 subscribers a couple of days ago. I'm looking to go forward and move up from that. So if you can kindly help me, please. So shout out to Lim Han on that one. And yeah, let me know what part of the world you are from as we continue on this weird interview that Luke Rockhold has going on with the Schmo. Limham says, I'm from Scotland. All right, man. Shout outs to Scotland right there, man. Liam. Okay, so is it Liam or Lim? Because obviously Liam is a common name there, or did you meant to say Lim in some kind of way? But in any regard, man, shout out to Scotland. You know, is this Han from Fast and Furious? How you do, fellas? All right, man. So shout out to Limham from Scotland. Man, Scotland. Man, yeah, love the accent out there. All right, so let's get to this Luke Rockhold interview.
The weekends are the weekends, and the weekdays are the weekdays.
What happens on the weekdays?
Well, we smoke a little bit.
Yeah.
We talk a little bit. We rip a little bit.
Yeah, Luke Rockhold is giving a little bit of some P. Diddy vibes going on here, man. You know, he's got, look at the way that he's looking at the Schmo right in his eye. He's like, they're looking into each other's eyes. Yeah, you know, we just kind of use the baby oil just a little bit, you know, on the weekends. Yeah, you know, don't be afraid, baby, just a little bit. Baby, just a little bit. You know that 50 Cent song, you know, maybe just a little bit, just a little bit. So Luke is playing that song in his head right now as he's looking at Schmo, looking into each other's eyes. Yeah.
And we lube up on the weekend.
Yeah.
What? Wait, what? What? He says lube up on the weekend. Yeah, really some P. Diddy vibes going on with Luke here. I can see why, Marty Miller, you were really like adamant in having me watch this, right? Because now I see exactly what you mean. All right, we got some laughing emojis. Liam says, me actual name is Liam Handugol. Is that how you pronounce it? Handugol. Liam Handugol. Shout out to Liam Handugol. Okay, so that explains your screen name. Okay, that kind of fits into it, Lim Han. I thought maybe you might have been from China or something with a name like that. Obviously, Han is a common Chinese name. Lim is a big name for a lot of the Chinese as well. So, hey, that's the one, laddie. Hey, that's the one, laddie. Okay, so I did pronounce it. Liam Handugol. Liam Handugol. Shout out to Liam Handugol. Love Scotland. You know what I'm saying? Love the blue flag on top of it. So, yeah, man, shout outs to you guys. Mr. Burberry says, what the F, inches away from each other and they look into each other's eyes. I mean, yeah, man. And then look at the Schmo. He's like, I'm the Schmo. No, don't Luke. Don't go after me. Ah!
Stay strapped, but talk to this.
Fresh Melon who says Han is a common Star Wars name. Is that really? Okay, Han Solo. Got it. Okay. Yeah, that explains it.
Schmo for a second. As somebody who's seen a lot of mixed martial arts, you do the Jackson podcast, Santos Studios. Right now, Khamzat Chimaev, the
Limhan says, Fresh Melon Juice, I only know one.
Wolf, he is there training. You've grappled with him. He's got a big fight against DDP, Dricus Duplessis, someone you've had a lot of rounds with. After feeling both those men, how does that fight play out?
We'll see how it plays out. No, I think Khamzat is very good at wrestling. He's very good on the ground. He's very good at pressure. The longevity of the fight, it hasn't been his best approach. So you see with Usman, you see with Gilbert, tough test. I put a lot of rounds in with DDP, and he don't go away. So unless he gets to him early, it's gonna be tough later.
So if he doesn't put him away early, it's a DDP type of fight.
I think that's the way the DDP goes. You know, he manages to get through, weather the storms, and he keeps going. That's what champions do, and that's why DDP's on top.
What was it like sharing a fight with El-Kheer, Tony Ferguson? He's going to be on the same fight card with you, facing Assault Poppy.
Tony's the man, you know. He's been around forever. He continues to believe in himself, and I'm interested to see how he boxes, you know.
All right, so for those of you that don't know, Tony Ferguson is also in this card, okay, which, you know, sort of makes it exciting. You got a bunch of UFC alumni up in here. You know, that's always going to be fun. He's taking on Salt Poppy. Now, for those of you that don't know who Salt Poppy is, Salt Poppy is a Filipino influencer, right? He's a Filipino influencer. And, yeah, he got into boxing as well and has gotten very good at it, right? He used to be a fat kid. Now he's no longer a fat kid. So Tony will lose in boxing. I can see that, right? Because Salt Poppy has really worked on his craft. And over these years, Tony Ferguson has just done nothing but MMA. So it will be a different dynamic and a different rhythm that he has to try and adjust with. So Mr. Burberry says probably will. Salt Poppy actually got boxing fundamentals down. He does. He definitely does. And that right there is what will make this matchup very difficult for Tony Ferguson. So, all right, continue on with Luke Rockhold.
A spinning elbow, a back fist, something. I don't know. We'll see what Tony's boxing's all about, you know. But it's gonna be interesting. Salt Poppy can move.
Yeah. There's a difference between Salt Poppy and Salt Bae. Salt Poppy is Filipino, and Salt Bae, I believe, is of Salt Bae, I believe, is Mediterranean of some sort, right? Either Greek, Italian, or something to that extent. Maybe Middle Eastern. So,
Do you have any interesting conversations with Tony? It's a long plane fight that you guys had together across the pond.
We were across.
okay, Turkish. Got it. Okay, so yeah, Salt Bae is Turkish. Okay, that explains it.
The wing, so they get the most conversation, but you know, it's gonna be a good fight. We'll see. I'm excited to see Tony. I'm excited to get in there and mix it up with the monkey.
What about this White House card? Do you ever see a world where we...
Did he just call Darren Till a monkey? That's yeah, that's a little strange. Limhan says Salt Poppy started doing Salt Bae parodies. Ah, okay, and Turkey is on the Mediterranean. Ah, okay, well, okay, that explains his Mediterranean features, and that also explains the name, right? There's a bit of a parody towards that name, and yeah, if he was doing Salt Poppy or Salt Bae parodies, and that explains why he would call himself Salt Poppy. So, okay, very interesting.
We see you back inside the octagon fighting on the lawn of the White House here in the United States?
I don't know. We'll see. The first job is taking down the Till, and until then, there ain't nothing else to talk about.
What about this blonde hair look you got here? Blonde hair don't care. What's the inspiration for this, Luke?
Gotta mix it up.
That's it?
Got the blonde glasses, you know.
Yeah.
I got the blonde hair.
That's right. Are we going to keep that look for the fight?
You never
All
know.
right, look, he's looking at Schmo, and he says, well, you know, you got the blonde glasses. You know, I got the blonde hair. You know. Well, what do you mean you know? There's a little bit of a difference of wearing sunglasses that you could take off at any time versus having blonde hair that is semi-permanent for a number of months on your head. But anyways.
I don't know. I go with the flow. We're flowing. We're staying hyped every weekend. You know, staying lubricated. We gotta keep it interesting. You never know what's gonna happen. We dry out on the weekdays. We lube up on the weekends. You never know what comes out on the. You know, show up the next week. Something might change. I don't know. I just keep going, man.
Former opponent Mike Perry, if he does this BKFC match against someone you know as well, Robbie Lawler, how do you think that thing would play out if those two squared up inside the squared circle?
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
Robbie Lawler is signed to BKFC now. That would be very interesting.
If Robbie's gonna take it or not. Mike Perry's pretty tough at the bare knuckle boxing. Bare knuckle boxing is dumb as fuck, but you know, hey, bare knuckle kickboxing. Now, that's something I might be interested in after I take till.
Limhan says, anyways, I'm off to feed my Highland cows. Man, shout outs to Liam, Hen Dougal on that one, man. Thank you for tapping in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, let your other mates know as well around Scotland about my channel. Spread my channel around. Spread the word. Let the word be out there and let everyone know. And I will see you in the next live stream, in the next content, inshallah. And by the way, we will be live for UFC 319. This is the early preview of UFC 319 and among other things that we're going to talk about. So yeah, don't forget to rewatch this as well later on, Liam, because right after this Luke Rockhold story, we're going to get to Turki El-Sheikh saying that he is not interested in Usyk and Parker, and Anthony Joshua hints at retirement. And please don't fight Jake Paul, and that is according to G-Man Boxing, the next content creator we're going to react to. So here we go.
And two-time, maybe Michael Blige. You want to play some kickboxing, bare knuckle style? There's no way to gauge distance in the bare knuckle boxing, and you got metal rings, metal ropes that just bounce you back in. It's an intense brawl.
Fresh Melon, she says, the high cow got the munchies. Don't we all?
It's not my style. But the kicking game. You want to put no gloves on? Let's put no feet. Let's put feet to them. That'd be fun. Then you could have that. I mean, would people want to watch bare knuckle boxing or bare knuckle kickboxing? What do you think would be better? What would you like to watch?
So we're just talking about bare knuckle mixed martial arts, but no grappling though. So just bare knuckle Muay Thai.
You got to give Mike Perry a chance. You know what I mean? Bare knuckle Muay Thai.
No gloves, no feet. Yeah. What did he say about feet, Fresh Melon Juice? He says that, since the feet is already bare in MMA and Muay Thai, why not make the knuckles bare as well? So, yeah, no feet FC. I'm sure that's not what he means, but you guys know what he means, and I think that we're just tearing apart what he's saying, but on any regard.
The real fight, real kickboxing, like a real street fight, proper style.
Since you're looking svelte and feeling like you are 26, who would be on Luke Rockhold's hit list, your top 3 guys' dream list after this Darren Till fight?
I mean, I like to clean up Perry's little ass, wax that, lubricate him a little bit. You know what I mean? Get that thing nice and wet and just fucking rip it up. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Okay, yeah. Now we're getting to the really strange part of this conversation, right? Now I see what Marty Miller means when he's saying that this is, this is as strange as it gets right here.
Jake, if Jake wants to fight a real fighter, we could take Jake. You never know. I don't really like Strickland. Maybe bend him over, make him call me daddy.
What? Oh man, listen, he's trying to give Strickland some PTSD on that one, right? Because you guys know what had happened to. Yeah, he's trying to give Strickland some PTSD. He's trying to make him remember who his daddy is or who his daddy was. Luke, really strange video. The cigars, that's the most normal thing out of all of this. The Schmo is actually way more normal than the actual cigar. Everything about this is strange, from the butt, talk that he's talking about with these guys, all the way down to the baby oil that is in front of him, and then Schmo asking, what's with the baby oil? What's with the use of the baby oil?
Do you hear he's suspended indefinitely?
Ooh, who would have thought?
Did you see that happen over there in Las Vegas during the Tough Enough?
Indefinitely.
There's no date for when he can return.
Yeah, that makes sense. Unfortunately, I guess he's
Wait, wow. So there is no date. Oh, wow, man, that is insane, man. So Sean Strickland is on, wow, okay, that is unbelievable. That is absolutely unbelievable. So there is no date for Sean Strickland's return. So what does that mean indefinitely, right? That means that he could be banned for life, guys. You understand what this means? He could be banned for the rest of his life. Okay, that is a serious charge right there. Okay, Glenn, Yeah, that is insane. Like, can you believe it? He could potentially be banned for the rest of his life. That is insane to think about, man. Sean Strickland, what have you done, man? What have you done? Don't do coke, kids. Conor McGregor says, the fake Conor McGregor, right? How ironic. The fake Conor McGregor comes in here and he says, don't do coke. But man, that is crazy. Sean Strickland is indefinitely suspended right now. That is insane. All right, so.
Off the list. Well, at least in mixed martial arts, he's off the list for now.
For him?
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know then. Maybe.
Someone you do know well, Jason Perillo. How would you describe his schmeat?
Schmeat.
Yeah.
Schmeat.
Yeah.
Do explain. Schmeat.
Like, how good is his schmeat?
Schmeat.
His schmeat.
I'm not sure.
He's a grill master. How good is his schmeat?
The man can fucking grill. He schmeats up well. He puts his time in. The mother.
Ernie says it's a state commission. I don't see how they have that kind of power. Wouldn't that authority end at state line? So Nevada is actually the most powerful athletic commission in combat sports. What happens in Nevada is valid anywhere else. So if you can't fight in Nevada, you also can't fight in Saudi Arabia. The Saudis are going to recognize it. You also can't fight in England. The English are going to recognize it. You can't fight in Australia. The Australians are going to recognize it. You can't fight in Indonesia. They're going to recognize it. You can fight in North Korea. They're not going to recognize it, but they don't have any combat sports. So you understand what I'm saying with that? Conor McGregor says the rumor is that the UFC's new media rights deal is with Amazon Prime. Oh, wow. Okay. I may have to do a video on that or a live stream by the very least. Fresh Melon Juice says Conor McGregor's new hairstyle. Have you seen it? No. Conor McGregor's new hairstyle is perfect for a president. Let's take a look at what Conor McGregor's hairstyle looks like right now. So, all right. Is there anything new, or is it like, what is this? No, that's not it. That's I don't know, but it's a mohawk. Oh, is it? Okay, it's a mohawk. All right. Well, where is the picture for this? Okay, Conor McGregor. He did have a mohawk back in 2007. So yeah, he did have a mohawk haircut back in 2007. I don't know. It's not popping up anywhere yet, but yeah, let me know regardless if you... it's all over X. Okay, so... Okay, let's see here. He calls himself a 5-time world champion. Okay. It's yeah, it's not on there, man. At least not on his page. Yeah, it ain't on his page, my man. Yeah, well, okay, let's see here. This is the Black Forge. Yeah, there's nothing here, man. There's nothing here about Conor. So, all right, we'll get back to that, though.
The fucker puts his time in. He's got 5 different grills, and he lays out the fucking gauntlet.
How do you like yours, though?
I throw down some good schmeats.
What style, though?
I like those. I like the cast iron style. I like the cast iron. I like the fillets. I like to, sauce it up. A little side sauce. You know what I mean? You cook it. I clean it up with that tallow, and then you make a little side sauce, a little butter, a little thyme, a little rosemary, little garlic, crispies. Make it all taste. Got to bring all the flavors.
And what do you put on the side? Are you like a starch guy? Do you like your veggies?
I like, you got to put a well-rounded meal. Yeah, you got to follow the pyramid. not so much. You gotta. No, I like good fats. Gotta get lubed up with the good fats, and
All right, here we go again with the lubed up, references.
maybe a little carbs.
That's why your phone keeps buzzing. They keep wanting you for more walks down the runway to model some great clothing.
Well, like I say, Santos Studio, we got fits for every vibe, every walk, and every talk.
Can we get a final message for all the Luke Rockhold fans out there worldwide?
Tune in to Till Time. It's gonna be good. We're gonna have some fun.
There it is. It all goes down August 30th, main event.
All right, so we're on to the next subject matter at hand right now, right? The next subject matter at hand that we're going to talk about right now is Turki El-Sheikh saying that he does not want Usyk to fight Joseph Parker. Okay? Why? Why does he not want him to fight Joseph Parker? Okay, well, there's multitudes of reasons why, right? Usyk right now is a moneymaker for the Saudis, okay? And they don't want to ruin that. You know who could ruin that? Joseph Parker. Now, of course, they want to give Joseph Parker an opportunity at some point, okay? But not while Usyk is champion and not while Usyk is active. So what they want to do is give Usyk an opportunity to beat everybody so that they can make money off of him. And also, let's not forget, it builds a certain relationship with Ukraine and Saudi Arabia. Because you also got to remember, Usyk is heavily tied in with Zelensky. That you can't deny. So now, the question is why. So we're going to find out why. Okay, so shout out to G-Man Boxing from Ireland, and we're going to cover this right now. Okay, so let's hear what G-Man Boxing has to say.
All right, people. Review of the week time. So, crazy. It was weird, right? Because there's not a crazy amount that really happened over the last. We kind of had the Usyk Dubois fight last weekend, and that was kind of peak action for this month, wasn't it? Really. And since then, there's been a bit of fallout from it. Not a great deal, but it's been kind of quiet this week, hasn't it? Really, it really has. Now there has been fights on. Obviously, I seen Clarissa Shields. I didn't see the fight, but Clarissa Shields won last night. I think it was at like heavyweight. Could be wrong on that one. I haven't really paid too much interest in.
Yeah, that was a heavyweight fight for Clarissa Shields. Yes, it was.
That one, that particular fight card. I did see. I only looked at some highlights of it, but Xander Zayas picked up his first world title as the WBO 154-pound title. He's only 22 years old. I remember he turned pro about 17 or so thereabouts. So he was quite young, very young, turning pro. But you could see there was talent in him.
Mr. Burberry says, at Connor, when are you going to be done skiing and getting back into fighting? Laughing my ass off. Yeah, that's not the real Conor McGregor. It would be funny if it was, and it was just like, some sort of burner account of some sort, right? I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I know there was this one basketball player that had a burner account because he was reading comments of what people were saying to him on YouTube. Now, let me know on the comment section below if you guys know who that basketball player is. Mr. Burberry says, oh, I know, I'm just kidding. I know, just full of, banter, I suppose,
See, even going back a couple of years ago, there was talent in him. That's his 22nd professional fight. He won it on a 12-round unanimous points decision over Jorge Garcia Perez. That belt, that WBO title was vacated by Sebastian Fondor. He was obviously mandatory for it. So he's another very interesting addition to the 154-pound division in terms of the champions there. That division right now is just looking stacked as all hell. I mean, it really is. You got Fondora, you got Mardazaliev, I think is a background Mardazaliev. Well, I was going to say Tim
Okay, let's
Tszyu, but
speed this one up right here.
Yeah, I don't think much coming
This is
back
not-
from that. You have also the likes of, you've got Dennis there. Just trying to think off the top of my head, there's a lot more people. Obviously, you've got Boots, you've got Virgil Ortiz, you've got Boacek, you've got a good few there. You've got Terrence Crawford is still listed on Bob number one. Israel Madrimov, Erickson Lubin is up there. How he has to keep turning, I don't think either. And Lubin's only 29 years old, he's not older than that. I'm talking older than that. He's been around for ages, Erickson Lubin. So it's not a bad division at all, really. It's a pretty good division. In terms of the card that was on over in the UK down in Bournemouth last night, that was a bit of it was alright. It was an okay card. I did see Amir Abu Baker versus Carfell. What name is it? In fairness, he actually performed very well. Here he did. Watch that fight. What was on? It was one of the kickoff fights. That was just before Alois Jr. fought El-Kheer. We'll talk about that now in a second. In terms of the undercard, there wasn't really anything with prelims anyway. There wasn't really anything that jumped out at me. The main one that jumped out at me, apart from main event, was Alois Jr. El-Kheer. I did watch that fight. It was not a... But like this, Alois Jr. last time out, I was very impressed. He fought up in that card in Scotland, Josh Taylor versus Eric Usman. I dropped that card. And he looked good. He looked really good in that fight. He knocked the guy out, turned the guy's name down in a couple of rounds. And there was improvements there. And El-Kheer, I remember the first time I seen El-Kheer, it was when he fought Dex Delman. Now, I might have seen him before because he won that boxer event. Although it was the boxer event or was it prize fight? Yeah, it was bench long. Obviously, boxer was essentially prize fight where those boxer tournaments were called multiple boxer at one stage. Now, he fought Dex Delman off the back of winning that. And I have to say, I haven't seen Dex Delman. Dex Delman was a light heavyweight. He fought Anthony Yard, I know that. He fought some other people. He was very good. And he fought Lid Arthur as well. He went to this with Lid Arthur like heavyweight years ago. Never that good as Dex Delman. No business being up cruiserweight. And honestly, he didn't win the fight, but he really did give El-Kheer a hell in that fight. So when I seen that, I was like, oh, that doesn't bode well for your future endeavours. And obviously, he got flattened by Jay Artaya, head taken clean off shoulders and around. Stopped then by Jeff Mark. And Jeff Mark, European level, fair to say, cruiserweight, European kind of bridge level, West level cruiserweight. Again, no shame in those two defeats. So it kind of gives you an insight.
So what G-Man Boxing is just talking about right now is how stacked boxing is all around, which is the very least that we can say about MMA in the modern context right now, right? I mean, obviously, the heavyweight division, in my opinion, is stacked. It's just that Tom Aspinall and John Jones have beaten some of the top guys in the division in the past decades. So Mr. Burberry says, crazy thing, I can understand a lot of what he's saying at that speed. Yeah, man. Well, aren't you from the UK, Mr. Burberry? Let me know what... I think I remember I heard you tell me you're from the UK, so that's probably a good indication as to why you would understand these guys in that particular speed.
Indication as to where... well, certainly this fight was going to give us an indication as to where Alois Jr. was at. Well, the scorecards... I mean, Victor Loughlin's scorecard...
No, Seattle, brother. Oh, okay. Then you have a Gift of Gabber. I'm sorry. I think there was another Mr. Burberry that came in here, or Burberry something that was from England. So that's probably why I'm mistaken for it. Sorry about that. But yeah, shout out to Seattle, our fellow West Coast, neighbors in that regard.
That one in particular is just... I don't even know what word you use to describe it. In 98, 93, that's not the fight I see it.
So you know Bruce Lee, Barry, that's right. Bruce Lee had some time spent in Seattle as well as the Bay Area in San Francisco as well.
The 96-94 scorecard, the fact of the matter is that the commentary team, Adam Smith included, felt that El-Kheer had done enough to win this fight. It certainly seemed that he did do enough, certainly as the fight progressed, to probably nick a decision. Probably. It really shows the limitations of Alois Jr. I have to say, the only performance from Alois Jr. that's ever remotely impressed me was his previous performance at the end of it.
Mr. Burberry says, yeah, I know where he's buried. That's right. That's probably a big tourist site where you're at in Seattle.
David James was the guy's name. At the end of the day, you look at some of the fights he's been in, he's fighting absolutely no hope because he lost his pro debut. And then just was fed these just cream puffs, really. That's the only fight, his last fight, where he looked somewhat decent. And you can make a strong case that he lost this respective fight. Alois Jr. is a very, very interesting character to say the least. I remember, he's from South London, right? So I don't know South London well at all. But I remember Hatman was saying on one of his videos, where is it, Penge in South London. In terms of South London, that's not really a terrible area, but Alois Jr. was making it himself as a wild west. You know, there's no people who do that. I never seen an interview with a boxer, an Irish boxer, a couple of years ago. Now, I know he didn't live the area he was from, but I knew the area he was living in. And again, it was something similar. My guy was trying, this guy, put it in context, was living in a middle class to upper middle class area, of which there is no roughness in it at all. In fact, people who are from that area, you're like, oh, he's a posh boy, or here comes the posh kids. And he was trying to make it like the Wild West.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? People underestimate you just because you come from a certain socioeconomic background, especially in boxing. But what I notice in MMA is that, there are a lot of guys that come from preppy backgrounds in MMA, and quite frankly, because it's a very expensive sport to get in, especially with the gears that you have to buy that's involved in it.
It's like, I know that area. I wouldn't want to live there, but I know it, and I'm like, rough, really? Okay, that's a new one. So I never understood people who do that, I come from, real hard, environment, you wouldn't like to live where I lived. And I wouldn't like to live where this guy lived because, well, they're twats, simple as the people who are there. But I never understood it. And Alois Jr. seems to be kind of one of them. It's just, I don't get him. I don't think his ceiling is massively high. If you put him in there next with a Chef Clark, if you put him in there next with a Vidal Riley, and Isaac Chamberlain, I think they'd all beat him. I really do. I think they beat him probably soundly. I mean, El Lazaro, you could make the argument, won this fight. So there was that. Ryan Gardner, Reece Bellotti, that was a great fight. Really, really entertaining fight. Reece Bellotti getting stopped in the final round. I can't really argue with the stoppage, to be honest with you. I really can't. Ryan Gardner, I had him
Alright, he's still
going in. You know, Bellotti, he's been stopped a few times.
He's still talking about other fights that
I think it was, he lost Way Forward, obviously that's a fight a couple of years ago. We know Way Forward's gone on to do, you know, a lot of good things in sport. There's no shame in that. And prior to that, you know, he lost Jordan Gill, lost the European title fight over Italy. That's when Backroom were actually doing some shows in, you know, continental Europe, doing some in Spain. And then he just seems to just go on a run and just getting wins. Just getting wins, just pulling them out of the bag. And it's been good kind of Indian summer to his career, but it inevitably was going to go and it did at the hands of Ryan Gardner. So that was the weekend action in a nutshell. So we get into some of the boxing news. And I'm going to talk about Anthony Joshua, potential up in Canada there. And we'll talk about Usyk versus Parker being ordered. We'll get that fight. But I want to start with this.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
Somewhat worrying. And I'm just going to read it, right? So, you may remember a couple of weeks ago, we seen Galalia fight versus Francesco Rodriguez. And Francesco Rodriguez, from the opening bell, was on Yafai like, you know, a bad smell. And he really put a beating on Galalia fight. He dropped him officially once, but he was down in, I think, round 7 as well. It wasn't called a knockdown, but it was. It was a knockdown. And yeah, just put a beating on Yafai. Well, subsequently, he was reported to have had an adverse analytical finding, is the, I think, words they use. And you're thinking, oh God, you know, no contest that, you know what, what's going to happen with this guy, he's probably going to get a ban, etc., etc. Well, the WBC have now overturned his win, rightly so, to a no contest. Reinstated Yafai as interim champion, but they've ordered an immediate rematch.
Wow. Okay, so they overturned the Galalia Yafai win into a no contest, and now Galalia Yafai is the interim champion again, and they're ordering a rematch. All right, this is interesting. Let's see where this goes.
Right, because he tested positive for heptamine, I think it's how you say that, after the fight. They have ruled, in their infinite wisdom, the WBC, that he accidentally ingested the banned substance as he previously reported the use of an over-the-counter energy boost, which he was unaware included. The WBC had made a request that the British Boxing Board of Control officially recognise their decision to rule the fight a no contest and place Rodriguez under a 12-month probation period.
Wow, they placed Rodriguez under a 12-month probation period.
With random testing. That's not a suspension, that's a probation period.
Marty Miller says, the Jake Paul fight, I'm interested in him versus Usyk in MMA. You know what? Him fighting in MMA is a no-risk fight, right? The reason why Usyk would be down to do that in MMA is because he wants to test his fighting ability in other fighting sports. And then on top of that, it doesn't tarnish his boxing record as having Jake Paul there, right? MMA would be a side quest for Usyk rather than, something that he's trying to build off of his boxing legacy. So I think, yeah, MMA makes sense. I know a lot of people would rather see that in boxing. There's some boxing guys that I know that told me they would rather see it in boxing, but I don't know if I, completely agree with that. I think I agree with the notion that Usyk wants to take it in MMA just so he can, do something different, right? A little side quest mission and what have you. Okay, a little commercial right now. Fresh Melon Juice. Why would he fight Jake? Usyk makes $150 million boxing. Well, to test himself, right? And if he's going to test himself in MMA, why not do it against somebody that's of an MMA novice, right? Somebody that is formidable enough to fight him in MMA. Somebody that's formidable enough to fight him in MMA, but also somebody that is of a low risk in MMA as well, and that's Jake Paul. Low risk, high money, and a different side quest in a different sport.
I shouldn't be surprised it's the WBC, but what is the point? Like, when you think of it like this, right? Canelo Alvarez, Clenbuterol. Was it Clenbuterol? What was it again? It was the tainted beef. A couple couple of years ago, many years ago now, 6-7 years ago now. Gave him an immediate pass. Immediate pass.
Yeah, that is quite strange, right? WBC ran by Mauricio Suleiman all the way down in Mexico, and they forgive Canelo for basically taking meat that had that had some substances in it. Sparring at an MMA gym is a better route. Sparring at an MMA gym is a better route. Fresh Melon Juice says. Regarding what Usyk and Jake fighting each other in in sparring is what you're saying. Yeah, but you know what? They'd want to make money off of it, and you also got to remember Jake has a PFL deal signed, right? And you're probably wondering, well, what does that entail for him to fight in MMA? Well, no one really knows, right? They want to find the right opponent for him in MMA. Well, here it is. It's Usyk. Yeah, then fighting Jake, yes. Okay, I see what you mean. You're like sparring each other in MMA just for their own personal understanding of how they can do, right? But they want to do it in the big lights, and you better believe that the PFL will absolutely capitalize on that, because MMA-wise, that would be a bigger fight than what the UFC could make, right, in terms of MMA matchups, right? Not necessarily anything competitive or anything meaningful, but for the circus that it brings. Fresh Melon Juice says sparring a real MMA fighter will teach him more than a random YouTuber. So that's the thing, right? I don't think Usyk is really trying to get in there and get leg kicked by a top heavyweight or a top cruiserweight or 205er in the UFC. I think he just wants to get in there and test himself, but not test himself in a way that he would for boxing.
When Conor Ben was saying it was contaminated eggs or something like that, I think the WBC said, no, we don't think it's that.
Okay, so contaminated eggs, that sort of explains why Chris Eubank in the lead up to the fight threw an egg in his face based on that pun alone, right? I mean, it's absolutely diabolical if you really think about it.
It's this, okay, you get what I mean. You're seeing a pattern here. These are supposed to be the clean boxing program. As is often the case with Sullivan, everything he says is just for show. You know, we're all for clean boxing. Okay.
Mr. Burberry says, I'm going to be honest, when they ranked him, Jake, I was kind of happy for him so they could start fighting with real fighters. Yeah, if you start getting ranked like that, at some point you definitely have to go in there and fight real fighters, right? So that's kind of what you have to do.
Guys just failed a test or whatever. There's a logical explanation, and we're not going to do anything really about it. You can overturn the fight. So officially, Galal Yafai hasn't lost. Okay, fair enough. Officially now he's not lost. But he...
Yeah, Marty Miller says, I didn't know Usyk was making that much money in boxing. It's all because of Turki Al-Sheikh. If it wasn't for Turki Al-Sheikh, he wouldn't be making that kind of money because, you know, let's face it, Usyk has a great personality, but he doesn't know how to promote it, and it doesn't translate well being a non-English speaker. But when you have the Saudis, they made it worthwhile because he's bringing in all these shows, and at the same time, they don't, I mean... Usyk is one of those people that is making money based off of his skills and not necessarily his entertainment value, and we have the Saudis to thank for that.
He's an ancient fighter, and a beating like that, what's it going to do? Well, like, you know, I don't, even a rematch, if he's clean this time.
Okay,
around,
let's fast forward. Let's fast forward this and get to the Usyk. You know, Anthony, the Usyk and the Parker situation. Fresh Melon Juice, yeah, fight a real MMA fighter at 10-20% instead of a YouTuber without control. Okay, Marty Miller says, yeah, that's what I want to see, Barry. It's time for Jake to fight a legit boxer. But Usyk, though, I mean, that's way more advanced than what anybody could ask for. I mean... Listen, Daniel Dubois was way under advanced for Alexander Usyk, and we've seen that twice now. So, yeah, man.
I could be wrong, but I don't think will. And yeah, I just think that's ridiculous from WBC. I really do. At the end of the day, I think it was WBA. It was WBA when Lucas Brown. And again, you do kind of have to ask questions.
Mr. Burberry says, no, let him have what he's asking for, which is Jake and. You know, Usyk in an MMA cage, more than likely in a PFL cage at that.
It was Brown, because I always felt that in this occasion, he may have been hard done by, but then he fell again the same year, and his performances blamed, so you do kind of ask the question, but when Lucas Brown fought Russian Shigaya back in 26, it was a really good fight, I've never seen that, it's a good fight. That happened in Chechnya, That's not where Shavkat is from. I think he's from Uzbekistan originally, but his home is not from Bush. He's very good, but still is a very good friend of the president then. He knocked out, and then if you go and watch that fight, it's dodgy. It's very dodgy because Shavkat hurt round, and I think it's round 6, and they don't ring the bell after 3 minutes. They let that round carry on. And obviously, the carries on for 30 seconds. Shavkat can't get rid of him. Then he starts gassing in the next round, and they end that round with like a minute left. As soon as it got like troublesome for Shavkat, they ring that bell quick, but like a minute to go. So it's a real dodgy fight. But he tested positive for clenbuterol, and I think he was saying
There it is, testing positive for clenbuterol again.
that it was tainted or something like that. The WBA were like, don't care, watch what you eat, and I tend to concur with that. At the end of the day, you should have people looking at this stuff. You should know what goes into it. You should keep an eye on what basically you're ingesting. So I think the WBC in this situation, they've really done it. I don't like it, but hey.
Marty Miller says, no, I'm not saying Usyk. Barry said he's glad Jake is ranked now so that he'll have to fight real fighters. Yeah, once you get ranked, there is no running from that, right? And if you're trying to be world champion, there is no running from trying to fight everybody. It's like what Khabib said, right? If you want to be world champion, you got to be ready to fight anybody at any time. And sometimes, you got to have the right proper preparation before going in there, I suppose, right?
There you go. What else is there to talk about? Oh yeah, Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero are in advanced talks for a rematch that could take place as early as December, sources tell Ring Magazine.
I like that. I like the rematch between Raleigh and Ryan Garcia. I think Ryan Garcia might actually win this time, right? He might actually, just prepare himself viciously for this fight because he doesn't want to lose to Raleigh again, right? Nobody expected Raleigh to win that fight, but he did, and the underestimation of Ryan, he paid for it.
Biggest surprises that I've seen this year probably was the fact that Ryan Garcia lost to Rolly Romero and lost handily because, as many of you will know, I've never been impressed with Rolly. This is a guy who went life and death with officially he's about 40, but he looks way older. Like, he looks about a decade and a half older, right? And that was Ishmael Barroso. And he was down in that fight, didn't look good. He was soundly beaten by Pitbull Cruz. And I just never really saw an impressive fighter in Rolly Romero, never did. So for him to go in there against Ryan Garcia and do that, I was just shocked. And it does have me wondering, Ryan Garcia, now that he's a bit more normal, for want of a better word, has that taken away from him? Maybe he needs the anarchy around him going into this rematch, potentially. Lennox Lewis believes Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua owe the British public a super fight. I
agree with that. Joshua and Fury owe the British a super fight. But will we get it? Man, we shall see, man. But that would be a great fight between them, right? A long time coming. Now, we wanted to see it when these two guys were champion. And guess what? Even when they're not champion, it's still a big fight and still a big deal nonetheless.
To concur with Lennox Lewis on that one, I agree with Lennox Lewis on most things. Lennox Lewis says that he feels that they owe them that fight. I think they probably do at this stage. Although, there was an article in the Metro, which I already talked about in a separate video, where Anthony Joshua was talking about or hinting at retirement even this year, saying that 12 years ago, he signed with Matchroom, and 12 years later, he's going to throw his last punch with Matchroom, which would indicate that this next fight is potentially going to be his last fight. Now, we're hearing a lot.
So, the Tony Yoka fight, which, by the way, I sort of talked about yesterday, shout-outs to the live stream that I did yesterday. You guys go check it out. There's some good footages of car shows and this, that, and the other. But yeah, go check that out. Anthony Joshua is going to fight Tony Yoka in his next fight. Now, what's interesting about that fight is you got Anthony Joshua, who has already accomplished everything that he wanted, and also came from being a gold medalist, boxing champion. And then you got Tony Yoka, who's also a gold medalist boxing champion representing France in the way that AJ represented the UK and still never got a title shot since then. It's like these two guys came from the same background but have a different career trajectory going on, right? Tony Yoka needs to keep fighting. Anthony Joshua can end his fighting career right now on a high note at that.
a lot of whispers, a lot of rumors that as much as we want it to be Tyson Fury, it may likely be Jake Paul. Now, I can't excuse that. I know it's a cash grab. I know that. I know it's a way to line your pockets before you bow out. I get all that. But still, people, Jake flipping Paul against Anthony Joshua, as far as I'm concerned, the only fight for Jake Paul that makes sense, and it would do good numbers, is the Fury rematch, the Tommy Fury rematch, of course. Because at the end of the day, like, he's probably going to win that fight now because Fury is looking absolutely terrible, even worse than he normally looks. He's inactive. At least Jake Paul is being active. There you go. You'd make a killing. You can get the win back and then so on and so forth. Fighting Anthony Joshua, bear in mind, Tommy Fury can't punch. He's not that physically imposed.
Fresh Melon Juice says heavyweight boxing and heavyweight MMA is not good compared to lower weight classes. Different sports closer to slap fighting. You know what? I agree that the heavyweight division right now is a little bit lackluster, but that's only because of the starching that both John Jones and Tom Aspinall did on a certain number of people, or one particular individual, or maybe one or two people in the regards to John Jones's heavyweight career. But overall, heavyweight boxing rather, is thriving more than ever, right? And you'd have to understand boxing to really, sort of understand that, right? There's names out there like 26-0, Agit Bagael, right? The Kurdish German undefeated boxer. He's up there. Obviously, Weili Zhang is, a possible contender for anybody at any time. Joseph Parker has been fighting for a long time, but is a dark horse, right? Usyk has been dominating everybody. Dubois, has beaten everybody in his path except for Usyk. And then he could easily be a good matchup for either Tyson Fury, even against Joe Joyce, as, but Joe Joyce has, is a little bit gone now at this point. So, and then there's Tony Yoka. What if he does end up beating Anthony Joshua? Could you imagine the upset of that, and then just basically taking everything that Anthony Joshua has worked for without him actually physically winning a title himself? I'm talking about Tony Yoka if he was to beat Anthony Joshua. So a lot of interesting things going on in the heavyweight division. Fresh says, I understand little Usyk cleaned a house, not a heavyweight. That makes you think how good the legends from back in the golden days are. They always say that, right? They always say, back in the days, boxing ain't like what it used to be. Back in the days, boxing was the thing, or this, that, and the other. But the reality is that athletes evolve, and as they evolve, you would start to see the evolution of the speed of the punches that the heavyweights have in comparison to other previous generations, just the physique, the power that some of these heavyweights possess, along with the technical skills to match along with it, right? I mean, you could say that for the sake of nostalgia, or for the sake of just, nostalgia biasness, or maybe even recency biasness on my part with what I'm saying right now. But, understand that athletes do evolve every year and every generation.
Wasn't even for a cruiserweight because he was trying to do light heavyweight. He just pumped up full weights. Jake Paul's naturally bigger of the two, I think, in general. So it's a whatever fight, make a lot of money, do it on Netflix. There you go, happy days. Instead, you're thinking of fighting Anthony Joshua, who is
okay. So Fresh Melon Juice, no, not at all. Boxing, only lazy heavyweight boxers of today. Well, they look lazy because they look slow, but I don't know if that makes them any less impressive. But I tell you what, I think Usyk is beating a lot of these guys based on the speed alone. And you know what? Fury is pretty fast himself at heavyweight. Now, if he could do that to Fury, just imagine what he does to the other heavyweights in lower ranked levels beneath him.
He's a 6'5", 250-pound man. He's one of the biggest punchers in the heavyweight division, and one of the best fighters of this last decade in that division. And he will knock you out with one hand tied behind his back. I just don't. And the problem is, right, if Anthony Joshua carries him, Anthony Joshua's going to get massively critiqued for that. You'll have people claiming, this is proof that all his fights are fixed now. And I think it just...
That is a good point, right? I could see Anthony Joshua showing mercy towards Jake Paul. And when he does, it's going to give this bias confirmation for people to say that, hey, you know what? Maybe his fights are fixed after all, right? But also, don't be surprised if they decide to make this into an exhibition and not a pro fight, because I can't see how they would sanction that. I could understand why they would sanction Jake to fight Mike Tyson, because in a way it is almost kind of even, right? Jake is this consummate pro. Mike Tyson is this, aging fighter, right? Older statesman, boxer, whatever, right? It's almost kind of even, right, for what you see Jake Paul on paper. But Anthony Joshua is a huge leap, especially for a guy that's never fought for a title before in Jake Paul.
It makes the sport look bad. The Tyson fight, the Mike Tyson fight made it all look, that was just, I want to forget about that. I want to pretend that like that never happened, but it flipping did. So, yeah, if AJ is looking to bow out, I think the best way to bow out is maybe do 2 fights with Tyson Fury. 2 fights with Fury, there you go. It's a big...
That's good right there, right? Because it's like, well, what is it that you want? Do you want legacy or do you want money? I think Jake Paul and Tyson Fury are money fights for him. Tony Yoka is in there too, though, but they're planning on doing something with Tony Yoka, and I just don't know exactly what that is. Now, look, 23 minutes of this video, 16 minutes into it, he has not talked about why Turkey is not interested in Parker, so let's get to this soon.
Money fight for Fury, but I think, and the weirdest thing, I think Fury wins against Anthony Joshua pretty handily now at this point. But again, he still just wants to mention Alexander Usyk. I mean, there's always risk. It's heavyweight boxing at the end of the day. Anything can happen. But I think at this point, I'd make him firm favourite over Anthony Joshua. I don't say... You would think Fury would want to be able to say, oh, well, I was the best at this era. Anthony Joshua couldn't get close to me. Look what happened when we fought. I think he'd want to at least do that so we can keep face on that. But no, apparently not. Apparently not. This week, the WBO ordered mandatory challenger and interim champion Joseph Parker to face Alexander Usyk. So parties have 30 days to negotiate, or else purse bids will be called. I suspect that title is going to get vacated very soon by Alexander Usyk because the Ring Magazine, Riyadh Season, and Sella not interested in making the Parker-Usyk fight.
So, yeah, the Saudis have made it clear they're not interested in making the Usyk-Parker fight. Now, why is that? Maybe because they don't believe there's money involved in it, or maybe because they don't want Usyk to be upsetted. They don't want another Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas situation in their hands.
Truthfully, don't know why. It's a strange one to me because I think it's a good fight. Both guys, well, all of Alexander Usyk's last couple of fights have been in Saudi Arabia or have had Riyadh Season associated with them, if you know what I mean, like even the last fight. So I think that's a massive strange one. I think that, well, why not do that fight? It's a good fight. Do it on a card maybe early next year. The problem for Parker is inactivity. Definitely inactivity because he's been out of the ring a lot over the last year or so. He's only fought once last year and once this year. Might not fight again before the end of the year this year, who knows.
And that was against Martin Bakole, a Martin Bakole that was sent there with just a couple of days' notice. And, they paid him handsomely for it. But, yeah, it cost Martin Bakole his title. His undefeated streak, rather.
So, I don't like that for Joseph Parker, but what does he do now? Because does that mean now he's going to be in the wilderness? Does that mean that he's going to get frozen out? If he picks up the title, okay, that's not too bad. But, I don't know. I don't get it. By Riyadh Season Sella, I just hope that they don't end up doing the Fury Trilogy fight because I will be critiquing Alexander Usyk for that because there's different fights that could be made, especially if you're near the end of your career, which is maybe his last fight.
Well, if you think about it, I could understand why people don't want the Fury versus Usyk fight. I could completely understand that, quite simply because we've already seen it. But if you really think about it also, I wouldn't be mad at it just based on the fact that nobody has challenged Alexander Usyk the way that Tyson Fury has.
Why are you recycling Fury a third time? And why in God's name are you giving him a shot off the back-to-back defeats and not having to earn a shot? Parker's earned his shot. There you go. Simple as. That's what I say on that.
That is true, though. I will agree that Parker deserves his shot, but why is it that they don't want this fight to happen?
One, Dave Allen versus Arslanbek Makhmudov is on. Boxing UK says Dave Allen will face Arslanbek Makhmudov. Official announcement next week, so this coming week. Well, this is going out on a Monday, so this week. 6'5" Makhmudov will
present a stern test for the White Rhino, who was riding high after the KO of Johnny Fisher. Well, Arslanbek Makhmudov is certainly not Johnny Fisher, but Arslanbek Makhmudov.
We've got passion, we've got determination, and if we set our sights on something, you better believe it's happening.
He was a bit of a...
Fresh Melon Juice says, Ilia Topuria has a mohawk now, and he's naked in his wardrobe, according to MMA Weekly. Hey, check out my Ilia Topuria video that I'm going to have come out today, so be on the lookout for that. I will be releasing that today, so yeah, be on the lookout for that.
An enigma as such. We looked at him when he was undefeated, and he was highly ranked by the WBC, and you saw him as a justifiable contender. Big puncher, very imposing, very physically imposing man. But then Adji Kabayel exposed all the flaws, and there are many. Although he has tremendous punching power, he is as slow as molasses. He clearly doesn't like it to the body. Dave Allen's a pretty good body puncher.
Yeah, that Makhmudov guy's pretty slow. And by the way, you guys got to check out Ajit Bagael. This guy is no joke, okay? He could be the dark horse of the division right now. In fact, maybe he should fight Joseph Parker. I think that's probably the next matchup that they are trying to make, right? Now, if Ajit Bagael gets past Joseph Parker, there is no denying him at that point.
And I wonder, there's a lot to like about that fight.
Marty Miller says, Ilia has the ability to learn from all of Conor's mistakes. He's going to surpass all of Conor's accolades. You know what? Ilia Topuria should absolutely learn from Conor's mistakes because, listen, being a role model is not necessarily being perfect all the time. It's also looking at the mistakes that that person has made so that you don't repeat them. You know, sort of like a lot of your abusive parents that you grew up with in the 80s and 90s and maybe even till now. But you know what I mean.
Obviously, Arslanbek Makhmudov is significantly better than Johnny Fisher, who apparently is split with Mark Tibbs. I like this fight. I don't know who I'd make favourite because I look at this as a real 50-50 fight, you know. I look at someone like Fraser Clark and I think, all right, styles make fights, but could you beat Arslanbek Makhmudov? Maybe. Maybe you might. Maybe. It depends. Well, he had no problem with Dave Allen. It's an interesting fight. It's a very interesting, it's a very tough fight. It's a bit of a fight that, for me, I kind of look at and think, does it make that much sense?
I tell you what, Makhmudov and David Allen are a very good fight for the heavyweight division. Here's another dark horse too, man. David Allen is so underrated. The guy spars with some of the best boxers in the heavyweight division, and not a lot of people really take that into consideration into understanding why he's able to develop the skills that he has right now. Marty says, with that said, it would be hard for anyone to manage that much fame, money, and power. Well, not if you're Khabib. Ask Khabib how that went, right? He definitely knows how to handle money and power. Some have done it, but it's few so far in between, especially with men in their 20s. That's very true. But at this point, Conor has managed to learn bad habits that he's learned in his 20s that he's now carrying into his late 30s and into his 40s. Fresh Melon Juice says, did you guys see when Full Send called out Ilia for meeting his... By the way, Fresh Melon Juice, that is literally what my Ilia Topuria video is about. So, yeah, I'm going to go and emphasize a lot of that in the video. Drizzy Goat says, do Patty versus Armin winner gets Ilia? Okay, that's a good one. Drizzy Goat says, I think Ilia beats all of them at 155 for sure. Islam has the highest threat, but he loved up. He loved up? What does that mean? Oh, moved up. Okay, moved up. Marty Miller says, I did see that Fresh and I loved it. Khamzat retires when? Maybe after he wins, but that is a rumor and that is a speculation that we have. So with that in mind, Marty Miller says, people are saying Conor sent that pic knowing it would get leaked. He does this shit to stay in the headlines. Okay, very true, right? Because if you think about it, you look at this person that he sent it to, this does not look like a trustworthy person in any kind of way. But then again, you got to understand Conor is very impulsive. There's a lot of strategy behind why he does what he does, and that's something that we have to understand. Mr. Burberry says, don't overlook Patty. He'll beat Ilia. You know what? That's a good matchup. That's a good beef and a storyline that they have going on. it could very well be a Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor situation. I made a video about that 2 years ago, right? Ilia Topuria and Paddy Pimblett are going to be the next Conor McGregor and the next Nate Diaz. Okay, so Drizzy Goat says, nah, Paddy would get slept by Ilia, no doubt. Drizzy Goat says, I don't even know if Paddy beats Armin. Drizzy Goat says, bro, Paddy has only beat Chandler. LOL, chill out. But Paddy is easily evolving into a top-level fighter right now, right? Something different is going on right now. It could be that he decided to take his camps a lot seriously. Maybe it kicked in him and realized that, hey, I need to really hone down on this because now I'm fighting at a higher level. So Mr. Burberry says, Paddy is a weight bully out of weights all these guys watch. Well, Paddy was a 145er, and then he moved up to 155. So maybe he just decided, you know what, I'm just not going to cut all this weight anymore. So Drizzy Goat says, Justin and Dustin both beat Chandler as well, and there's levels. Yeah, that's true. That's true. At least now Paddy is showing that, all right, you know what, I could get through this guy. Maybe his next matchup will be really top-level 155, or maybe somebody like Armin Sarukian. Andrew Nan says, Paddy hasn't even beaten Justin. Let's chill out now. Okay. Fresh Melon Juice says, Paddy has beat 3 fighters who was on 3-fight losing streaks. Okay. We don't know if he's better. We don't know, but I think he would be a bad matchup either way. Right? A bad matchup for Ilia. I'm not saying that Ilia will win or lose, but, you know, it's a competitive just based on the style alone. Mr. Burberry says, bro, y'all really don't like Paddy. I mean, I don't mind Paddy, but yeah. You know, Marty Miller says, agreed, Fresh. Mr. Burberry with the laughing emoji. Mr. Burberry says, where do you get that info, Tarukian? Which one? The Sarukian? What do you mean? Marty Miller says, how do you think Paddy gives Ilia trouble, bruv? Andrew Don says, Paddy has not beat anyone close to this age. Man, you guys are really tearing me up on this Paddy thing, right? Because I'm giving Paddy a chance against Ilia Topuria. Look, understand this, right? Ilia Topuria, would you say that he's a bit of a stoic Chad? Would you say that he's yeah, stoic, right? Would you say that he's stoic? He is. But I tell you what, I think that he has a certain breaking point, and that breaking point is when Paddy said that your people deserve to be terrorized by the Russians. So going into a fight like that, you better believe that Paddy is going to be hyped up in ways that we may not, you know, understand how it may affect Ilia. So Andrew Nan says, Ilia has KO power. Paddy will be looking up at the lights. That's also a possibility. Drizzy Goat says, Paddy would beat Justin Gaethje or Max, but Armin and Ilia are a step above them. Okay. Punisher says, the only thing I took from this past UFC card is that Shara isn't as good as I thought, and RDR has awesome knees, and Tabitha Ritchie can get her. Okay. So Mr. Burberry says, Paddy is a scouser and he ain't getting knocked out. He ain't tapping, and he ain't tapping also. Okay, yeah, that's what they say. Scousers don't get knocked out. But Tony Bellew against Usyk, how did that work out? The Punisher says with the dead skull emoji.
Like, why don't we just do... I know they ordered Jamie TKV versus Fraser Clark for the British title, but why can't you just lobby to get Dave Allen for the British title? Or to me, this just seems like a kind of... I don't want to say it's a bad fight. I'm sure it'll turn...
Andrew Nan says, has everyone says that until your Max Holloway KO in the last 10 seconds, pause.
Let's be a very, very fun fight.
Andrew Nan says, the best is blessed. Let's go. Marty Miller says, our host here has a great Scouser impression. Oh, my goodness. Do I ever, lad? Do I ever, lad? Scousers don't get knocked out. Scousers don't get knocked out, lad. No way, ever. Are you fucking kidding me? By the way, you guys have to check out this Scouser. He's like a former, gang leader in Liverpool. His name is Darren G. Like, I laugh every time this dude... Like, look, this dude don't gotta say nothing. I just laugh every time that he's on, man. It is hilarious. You guys gotta check him out. His name is Darren G. Andrew Nance says, and Justin G, he's my favorite fighter. Okay, what makes him your favorite fighter? You like that he goes balls to the wall, all out, and this and that and the other? Let me know on the comment section below on that one.
But like, it's just a bit random. Do you not think just like a random?
I'm gonna hate to see him retire the highlight, the backflip off the cage. Yeah, he's sort of in the twilight of his career right now, from what I assume. Right? Justin is a good dude all around. He is. He is, man. He is. And he has the best manager in the world, who happens to be my uncle Ali Abdelaziz. Shout out to you, my man.
Opponent like Arslanbek Makhmudov, a very tough opponent too as well. Very tough. We'll end it with this. Lewis Crooker will rematch Paddy Donovan for the vacant IBF 147-pound title September 13th, Windsor Park Stadium, Belfast. I've been to Windsor Park Stadium.
CTE is real, though, for real, and he definitely has a lot of it. Andrew Nance says, straight savage, not scared to throw down. Max Holloway fight example. Yeah, man. Within the last 10 seconds, though, I don't know if Max would be willing to do that in the beginning of the round or the beginning of the fight. But subscribe. Thank you for all those that have tapped in. Says, yeah, Dustin didn't want any of that to throw down. I don't blame him, though. Yeah. You know, because he didn't want to go out, get laid out, you know, potentially in his retirement fight, right? Like, imagine the image of that. Andrew Nance says, Dustin didn't want didn't want the last 10 smoke. Tried to hug him. Haha. Marty Miller says, I like that, Drizzy. So, everybody, thank you for all those that have tapped in. I want to thank Marty Miller, Andrew Nance, Mr. Burberry, Andrew Nance again, the 556 Punisher. Shout outs to you. Who else is in here? Drizzy Goat. Shout outs to Drizzy Goat, of course. Who else was in here? Conor McGregor, the fake Conor McGregor. Liam Handougal, shout out to you, all the way from Scotland. Who else do we have here? Really interesting chats. By the way, after the shows, for those of you who don't know, I'd be going back and reading the chats, sometimes laughing, especially at Fresh Melon Juice. So, yeah, Marty Miller, thank you for being the moderator today, and the moderator since I've been established. So I want to thank everybody that has been in here. You know, can't forget our CIA agent, of course. Thanks, bro. Andrew Nance, thanks to you. Shout out to you. By the way, did you email me by any chance? Was that you that emailed me? Let me know, because I did email you back if that was, I don't know, somebody, you know, named Andrew or whatever. But if that was you, yeah, let me know on the email. But on any regard, guys, thank you for tapping in. Thank you for another successful live stream. And check out my live stream that I did yesterday as well. You guys are going to enjoy it. You know, a good scene of Sacramento all around. I will see you in the next one, inshallah. Have a good one, bruv. Marty Miller says, no, it wasn't me, buddy. I don't email. Okay, well, thank you for the confirmation on that. And with that regard, have a beautiful day, guys. God bless.